there's a fairy tale side of narcissist that has to be fulfilled. And so what I mean by that is that narcissist, there's 3 layers. There's the narcissist, there's what they believe, of course, then it's what they portray, what they believe. Then they have to have individuals around them that kind of keep the lie going, or kind of keep this fairy tale going, or even worse, never mention it, never discuss it, never address it. And so these individuals kind of keep the lie going. Narcissistic individuals like to think that they've accomplished so much, in their time. And then when you go back and you take a look, the proof is in the pudding. They've really not accomplished a lot at all, but they like to have this facade as if they have accomplished this, accomplished that, and then when you take a look, it's like, yeah, but you didn't really do that. You didn't really accomplish that. You didn't really. And then when you begin to start calling them out on this, this type of behavior, then they of course would get upset, and they would have to move on to someone who is going to not question the facts of the fairy tale that they're trying to portray. This individual has to they can't add insult to injury. They have to kind of be able to keep milking the cow. You know what I mean? Keep them thinking that, oh man, you sure have, accomplished this or accomplished that, or, they have to get those type of, compliments, those, and it's the constant, compliments are the constant. So not only, is, the fairy tale something that's made up, but now I'm actually complimenting you on these accomplishments, or these things, that you're saying, you've accomplished, and it's not true.
Introduction to the nature of nature. Paragraph 1. Listen to read. The repeats of this information found in this literature are intended for the purposes of clarity, memory drill, and emphasis on the points having already been made. This information I am about to read is a series of questions and answers designed to impart vital liberation information to the African race and those who listen and learn. And this vital information is called Introduction to the Nature of Nature. Introduction to the Nature of Nature is likewise known as NOONE, which is the science of sound right reading. Let it be known. Question. Who is the reader of this presentation? Paragraph 2. Listen to reason. The reader of this correct information is Nubii Repoo, and I am one of the chief representatives of Afroo, Repoo, and NOONE. And for the benefit of the listening audience.
Okay, so Nubii Repoo is not Afroo Oonoo. As stated in the audio, is one of the chief representatives of Afroo Oonoo and dealing with NOONE science. Okay, so check this out.
I love you, Bobby.
Tarkino said, from what he knew, there was 5 books dropped off. Right, babe? That's what he said. 5 books in total dropped off at the bookstore. All right. And then maybe his wife. So 5 books of what? Book 1 and book 2. So 10 books. And then the books, 1 or 2 books, 3 books, I don't know how many books in total, they can clear it up, was dropped off by his wife. I managed to get books from Amsterdam, right? From Amsterdam. So he said it was only 5 books in the audio. He ain't know about my books.
This is Charles' old name. And just in case Charles wants to say that this isn't him, I'm going to show another screenshot of the same conversation where he hit up NOONE asking him questions. And me personally, just reading, when I first read the conversation, it gave off vibes like he was up to no good. Because how do you just hit somebody up asking all these weird questions like you don't remember? Or it just seems like he was trying to stir something up. That's what it's looking like. So here it says, question, Ta, how did I get my nature and nature books? Did they come from you? And did you put me on Afroo? So you see, that question right there is very, very, very weird. Me, because I'm a different person, I also have a different zodiac and zodiac sign than NOONE does. I would have been like, why are you acting like you don't know? You know, I would have asked a question like that, like, oh, how could you forget such a thing? He didn't forget. He's asking. Tar says, yeah, I gave you the email so you could get them from Galaxy 9. So that proves right there that Charles did not teach us, nor did he put us onto NOONE Science, nor did he put NOONE onto NOONE Science, nor did he give the books to NOONE. That just squashed that. That's the stuff that he keeps lying about.
He ain't know about the holders of those books. Here's my question. How did my books come from Amsterdam and the Netherlands? All right. I talked to you about a sister by the name of Galaxy 9. Her husband was named ANUNUPTAH. Right? And I believe this to be ANUNUPTAH. Where
I love you, Polly.
You bought were reprinted, but I would have to see yours. Charles says, I was angling something how books got on both sides. So NOONE says, Galaxy 9 says she had them reprinted. So Charles says you printed from an original copy, and he said, how do you know it's a copy? NOONE says, so she must have had physical copies, the people she used to remake them. She emailed NOONE this last year in a conversation. I still have it, gotta find it, but it's from her account on Facebook. So Charles says, how was her husband connected to Nicola ANUNUPTAH? I wondered. I thought she was married to Nicola. And she was married to him, and he ended up passing away. So that's what happened.
I got my books from.
Nubii Repoo is spelled Nubii and Repoo. And Nubii Repoo is indeed a member of the African race, also called the Ethiopian race. And for the benefit of the reading public, the name Nubii Repoo is pronounced Nubii Repoo. Of course, all us kinky-haired people are racial relatives by race and nature. Let it be remembered always, and let it be known. Question: who is the writer of this presentation? Paragraph 3. Listen to read.
Now, that's interesting, right? If ANUNUPTAH is the chief representative speaking in this audio, and I don't know if anybody else could bring any information outside of that, right? I got my books in 2009, and I was sent this.
I love you, Bobby.
It's Afroo, who was on an obituary, and he passed away in 2011. So check this out. We didn't get the books till 2008. Right. 2 years later, Oonoo passes away, but we didn't get the obituary in 2015. So from 2008 to about 2012-13, if you was familiar with the books, then you thought that was Dr. York naturally, like Taharka said.
He said from 1984 to 1989, he was banging in Los Angeles. He was in the Nation of Islam 1987 to 1990. Then he said he was in Nubii from 1991 in Atlanta, Georgia. Then he said Nubii student teacher of religion and science 1998 to 2004 in the London, UK. Then he said Noon Science, Newpool, 2004, Minneapolis, Minnesota, I'm assuming. That's a lie. He was not practicing Noon Science in 2004. That's a lie. Then, if you had Noon in 2004, why would you go jump into Islam if you had Noon Science? That makes no sense, because Noon Science says not to even jump into religion. That makes absolutely no sense. that also goes into Taharka's claim saying that the only other person Afroo Uonoo could be was Sheikh Dawood. Why would, first of all, if Afroo Uonoo was Sheikh Dawood, him writing the Bible interpretations and explanation books in the non-bowls would be hypocritical to the religion that he practiced. That's the point. So that he's completely out of that. He's not. That's not who Afroo Uonoo is. That's the problem here. Y'all just making stuff up. Then he said Islamic Sufism practiced with Somalis and Ethiopians 2007 to 2009. That's what he says. Then he says combining Nuwapu and Noon into one science from 2010 to 2021. That's another lie.
Okay, so I don't know. He passed away in 2007. That's interesting because Afroo Uonoo passed away in 2011. So that means there could be some type of connection. And listening to the voice of Nubii Repoo, right? Sounds like he's an American. So I don't know the journeys of this brother. I just know I got my books. Okay, so if he passed away in 2007, he already had the audio done. Okay, he already had the audio done. So we know it's not Afroo Uonoo because he said he was the chief representative of Afroo Uonoo. So Tarkenu, can you put us up, since you're the commissioner of Repoo, can you let us know who the elder ANUNUPTAH was, his relationship to Afroo Uonoo, if they possibly met? Do you know if ANUNUPTAH is familiar with Dr. Malachi Z. York? Can you tie this all up for us, since you got all that 9 science and 9 knowledge?
When this clown dropped this video, he dropped this on August 13th, 2021, right? This is what he said. He said 5 books were sent to the bookstore, then 2 books were sent from Amsterdam, mine by way of ANUNUPTAH. Regardless, he's only doing this because he wants to try to exclude the fact that Tarnoon put him on to how to access them. So that's the main thing that's happening here. So if ANUNUPTAH sent the books, that's of course a lot of people got their books from Amsterdam. It is what it is. That's what happened back in that time. But some people did not get their books from Amsterdam. Alright, anyway. This is what he says. He says Nubii Repoo is the chief representative of Afroo Uonoo. And because y'all don't understand how spirit beings work, this is why y'all are ignorant. It makes no sense. But I'm gonna leave. We spoke about this too many times. I'm not gonna go into the whole Nubii Repoo Afroo Uonoo thing. It's the same person. That's it. So, and it's funny because York could be Trismegistus, Hermes, Tahuti, all of this, and Doc, and Baba, and Dwight York, and all of these different names. But as soon as Afroo Uonoo goes by Nubii Repoo and Afroo Uonoo, then it's a problem. York can expose who his spirit being is, but when Afroo Uonoo lightly expresses that his spirit being is Nubii Repoo, or the spirit being is speaking through him, y'all don't understand that, but y'all only understand it when it's York foolishness. So anyway, so he said Nubii Repoo can be connected to ANUNUPTAH. He is the only brother who had the nature of nature outside of the bookstore from what is known. That's a lie. Because, first of all, Afroo is the writer of the books, who also goes by Nubii Rakata and Nubii Repoo and all these different names. That makes no sense to even say that. It comes from the writers first. And the publishers and the copywriters, which is all Afroo, Queepoo, and Sepoo. Like, come on, stop acting like you don't know this already. So let me just show you how the narcissism is in full effect. So here, we just go on talk about Earl Clown self. He said another body bag. You can't find what Afroo called the Egyptian Ankh anywhere in ancient African culture. The six-pointed star represents the sun and man. Crescent represents moon, which represents the woman, which is why a woman's cycle is in tune with the moon. Also, the waters of the planet that reflects the light of her man. Light moon reflects light of or ray of the sun. The Ankh represents life or birth, child, etc. Symbols of the cosmos. All smack. So let's see what this idiot says. He says facts. This is why you cannot take this man serious. That whole thing that Earl Dakins just said is incorrect. But this video is not about that. I'm going to just show you the manipulation and the ignorance and the deception of this narcissist. Let's take a look at this. So first, somebody named Reza Nupu. And I have not heard good things about this individual. I'm not going to expound on that, but let's look at what he said. He said, true peace king ANUNUPTAH. I knew him personally. I used to reason with him before I moved to the Netherlands in September 2008, and I often met up with ANUNUPTAH and his consort. He ended up printing the Nature of Nature books after the original distributors A&B bookstores, which Anu and Tar had went to speak to Royal. So that proves that those books was being given there by Afroo, because Royal said he was doing work with Afroo in reference to selling his books and stuff for 15 years. So that means that NOONE wasn't lying about that, and Charles keeps making it seem like it's all made up. It's not made up. So here he said, I was also a main distributor in England up until the books stopped being supplied by A&B bookstore because of the controversy surrounding the books with people harassing and calling the bookstore. That's not what happened, because Sign9 even clarified in my previous video that she got contacted and was told that she's not a Noonee and should not be distributing books without permission. Another individual that we had we no longer have dealings with, and he's talking to Galaxy 9. So it's irrelevant why, or what's the story behind that, because it doesn't really matter. It has nothing to do with the video. Just for clarity, I'm not out here just to talk about every time we stop talking to somebody. That's what Charles do. The only reason why we have to go back in history is because these individuals were involved in reference to contact or in reference to evidence and proof. That's it. So I'm not going to put a picture of the person up there. I'm not going to do all the dumb stuff that Charles does to expose, as he think he's calling it, expose the identity of people, which makes no sense. So it says, true peace kin. This is what he's saying to Galaxy 9. True peace kin. I know this is random, but I was speaking with NOONE about the nature books, and he told me at one time you was distributing the physical copies. My question is, was you getting your books from a certain bookstore or another source? The reason why I ask is because a few kin and myself are trying to find out if John Starks got written permission to change the name of the nature books and distribute them for outcome. John Starks is also Mansour or Sebneb Tanoon. He went by a bunch of different names, and Mansour is an ex-Nawapian. So what he's doing is trying to do what Dr. York was doing, change a bunch of names, plagiarize a bunch of books, act like he made them, and steal the identity of Afroo. Okay, so he said if not, then we are looking at a case of copyright infringement. Again, my apologies if I am mistaken. True peace. So she says, ANUNUPTAH ANUNUPTAH and I, we started when New York bookstores stopped publishing the Nature and Nature books. That was in 2005. And I stopped printing it in 2010 because of some people call themselves Noonable told me online that I don't have the right to print or publish it. I didn't like it because this knowledge, black race, their need to know it. When we stop printing this Nature and Nature knowledge, we are not real Noonable.
That's what happened. It wasn't people just harassing the bookstore just for the heck of it. That's what happened. So they had to stop selling the books because they did not have permission. And like I said already previously, Noosa said that Cyanine, or the other name she went by, I'll drop it below, she got copyrights and sold it to Mansour in 2007. That's what Noosa said.
Okay, let's take a look at this nonsense. This is Noosa talking. He said, one last thing between us now until I finish investigating this situation. Mansour actually purchased the book's copyrights from Galaxy 9, I think. So Kepler had no knowledge of this at the time. But like deception, this is ridiculous right here. And on top of that, how did Galaxy 9 get these so-called copyrights? Was it doctored up? Because there's no way Afroo gave them to her. After his wife already said that he only hanged out with Repoo and Queepoo, there was no other association. So that makes no sense. Y'all had not asking the proper questions. Then it says Galaxy 9 late husband had the copyrights and was printing them and distributing them before Afroo passed. Did Afroo give them permission to do that?
Okay, so with that whole thing, that could have been controversial as well, because why was and she never clarified who exactly reached out. It could have been Afroo, Queepoo, and Repoo. It could have been them. Nobody's really telling the full truth here. And like I said, it's a lot of room for assumption. But the thing that Sign 9 said, who was distributing the books, was that somebody contacted her and said she was not a Noonable and didn't have the right to be selling and making money off the books. And that's the thing. Charles will sit here and say all this stuff about us and how he thinks we're making money off these books and we're not. But nobody's questioning all of these people that was taking Afroo books, making copies of them, making their own copies of the books, and then selling them and not even giving it to the writer. So that is a problem. Okay, so he said here, ANUNUPTAH passed November 8th, 2008. And Charles, you said that the man passed away in 2007.
So, I don't know. He passed away in 2007. That's interesting, because Afroo passed away in 2011.
So that this is what I'm saying. Charles wasn't even here for a lot of this stuff. He's just talking. So he said, I saw him before his passing a couple of weeks before and spoke with him as he deteriorated. He was an elder. PBUH. Peace be unto him, or whatever. He was a fellow Noonable in the culture. That's debatable, because Cyanine even got contacted and was told that she wasn't a Noonable, and her husband was still on the books. And there's actual proof that, you know, he wasn't a Noonable. He said he never met anybody and was not the chief representative of Afroo. So that clarifies that whole thing. That makes no sense. And he said he was originally from Liverpool in England and lived in Amsterdam for 25 years. So let's look at the response. He said, thank you for the true reason, Ken. That's what I wanted to come out. He's lying. That's the thing here. He's so manipulative. He's trying to make it seem like he put this video out to have somebody tell the truth when he never had it. That's deception. Look at Earl under here talking about some wow. No, y'all both should eat y'all words, because y'all both was sitting here trying to confirm that this information that Charles put in this video was fact. That makes no sense. And on top of that, you think this dude really cared? He still got the video up. This is what I be talking about, how they be disrespecting the deceased and they don't care. Afroo and ANUNUPTAH is both deceased, and y'all still sitting here lying on these people, on these men's names. So here, I'm gonna go under here, and let me also add, in my previous video, Charles was asking who Nicola ANUNUPTAH was to Tarnoon in a Facebook conversation, and he was asking Tarnoon what the relationship between ANUNUPTAH and Sign 9 was. So he didn't even know who this person was. He just got books sent. That's it. So you got to stop taking this dude as like he knows what he's talking about. And this is the message to his followers. This dude knows nothing at all. He doesn't even know what he's talking about. So here Nubii came in and he said, I got books from Amsterdam too. The voice of Nubii Repoo is not the voice of the kin Nicola ANUNUPTAH. You can hear audio of the voice of Nicola ANUNUPTAH on this video. So so he said, facts, thanks for providing that link. But when Charles first dropped this video, Tarnoon had already told me that ANUNUPTAH was the voice on that video. Before this, but before I noticed the comments under here, so I already knew who it was. It's just like not everything is worth always responding to Charles. But the reason why I have to bring this in now is because there's all these different things being said, all this nonsense, when in the end Afroo was still wronged by these people taking his books and doing all this stuff with it. That's still wrong. That's the point. And that's what nobody's understanding. Dead or alive, if you do something wrong, it's still going to be spoken about. That's a fact. So I don't want to hear anybody saying, oh, ANUNUPTAH is not here and yada yada yada. Everybody should have thought about their actions before doing them. Okay? And Afroo puts in his books in multiple different forms not to take from people, not to claim something that doesn't belong to you. That goes from spouses even down to ownership of anything, plagiarism. He goes into all of this stuff because he knew he was being mistreated. This is exactly why he stayed behind the scenes, and people don't respect him for that, and y'all still don't respect him for that to this day. All right, so I'm gonna play the voice of ANUNUPTAH, and in reference to him being a Noonie boy or not, that's questionable because of the information that he was even saying. People make their own interpretations using the nature books and stuff like that. That doesn't always make it correct. So I don't know. From the looks of it, it just looked like it was pantheism mixed with a little bit of noon science, and a lot of other things kind of didn't make sense to me. Just looking at the just looking at the words that he was using and how he was switching certain things up, and there's no background information or proof that I've seen that supports that using Noon. But you'll see what I mean in the next clip. But shout out to y'all, those who provided the facts, and whether Charles want to believe it or not, that's on him, because he's a narcissist. So and this proves he's a narcissist, because he will not take the video down. He's gonna keep the lie up there, but he will not take the video down. This dude is not credible, and they're gonna just keep disrespecting, and it makes absolutely no sense. And he keeps saying we attacked him. I already proved that this dude was doing all of this. Still got pictures of us on his Facebook, on his Instagram, like a weirdo, just doing all of this strange things. Okay, so like I said, all of this stuff and all this activity of taking Afroo's books and taking them overseas and doing all this crazy stuff is wrong. That is absolutely wrong. So whoever contacted Sign9 and told her to stop selling books, then they did the right thing. They did the right thing, because a Noonie Boo would not take his books, make profits off of them, sell them worldwide, and then you don't even give the writers any funds. It's their books. It's their books. Okay? And this dude is a clown talking about Nubii Liberation TV. He's doing exactly what the Nuwabians do, talking about some Nubii.org and all of this other stuff. These dudes are just fake wannabe Afroons, and it's not gonna happen. He already came. It's time for you to stand alone like a son and do what you gotta do, and that's that. It's not that deep. The lies end here. Just so those who don't know, this is ANUNUPTAH speaking, who also goes by Nicola. This is who is speaking in this is his voice in this video. It is not Nubii Repoo, and it is not Afroo, which is the same person. So let's keep looking.
Four great realities are the four rays, or the four tars. ANUNUPTAH, ATEMTAH, ATENTAH, ANUNUPTAH. These are the four great realities.
As far as this information, I don't know how accurate this is. Even when I first got NOONE back in 2012, you know, these things were circulating and stuff like that. I don't have any record of the nature books ever saying this. I don't know the source of where he got this from, but it just looks like it's pantheism mixed with NOONE science. See, if we look here into the Moon Set and Sunrise, Are You Seeking for Knowledge book, it goes into showing the diagram that ANUNUPTAH had used, or just the diagram that is in this video that has some misinterpretations on it. This is the original form of the diagram. So it says 9, 6, and 3. It doesn't say ANUN and a moon and all these other pantheistic names on the outside. This is just showing proof that there's no way that ANUNUPTAH could be the representative for Nubii Repoo, aka Afroo, because he wasn't pushing pantheism at the time of his writings. He was not doing that. He wasn't pushing religion. He wasn't doing any of that. And whatever he put out in its form, that's the way that he kept it. Also, Nupu is also spelled incorrectly on the image in the picture. I don't know if it's a typo or whatnot, but it's definitely, Nupu is definitely not spelled that way. And if he was a representative of Afroo's books also go into checking people's work and things like that. So Afroo most likely 100% would have checked that and said this is incorrect. So this isn't to take away from his journey in NOONE or anything like that, but it's to just show that they were not on the same mental wavelength at the time when he was alive. So there's no way that he could be the one to represent him. That's the point that I'm just trying to make here. It doesn't go into any four great realities named ANUN and Atun. It doesn't go into any of that. So there's no way that he could represent that. And I'm just going to shortly read a little bit of what it says here. It says, listen to reason form 1 and form 2 in this paragraph shows circles divided into 4 equal quarters of perpendicular and horizontal lines. Like planet Earth has 4 seasons and cycles, all existence called infinite eternal nature does likewise have 4 major seasons and cycles. But whereas Mother Earth's seasons and cycles are measured in days, months, and years, absolute nature's seasons and cycles are measured in thousands, millions, and billions of years when almighty nature is considered as a whole. So it doesn't go into anything that he's referencing. See, it goes into the moon cycle, goes into the sun cycle. Okay? It doesn't go into anything about the 4 great realities called these names. It doesn't. If you would like to check out the book to see for yourself, you can go to find9news.com and look at Are You Searching for Knowledge? Moon Set Sunrise. It has the orange cover. So that's not, like I said, it's not to take away from ANUNUPTAH'S journey. If he was still alive today, who knows how far he would have gotten in the science, because a lot of people had had misinterpretations of Noon when they first got the books, because their mind was still grasping the science itself. So I'm just trying to explain that Afroo Oonoo was born with Nubii, with 9 mind. So there's no way that he would have pushed pantheism on the people or religion or anything like that when he knows that it's not beneficial for us at this time. That's the whole point that I'm trying to make. So he couldn't have been a representative for Afroo. Nubii also is spelled incorrectly here. If it's a typo, I don't know, but this is not, what the nature books say. But if he has a connection between them, that'll be his own thing. I just don't, as a Nubii, I wouldn't support this personally, because that's not what this is about. But let's keep watching.
Listen to reason. Who and what is the Supreme Being? The Supreme Being is almighty nature, all space, all matter, and all time, all people, all places.
And just to expound on the previous symbol that was used in the video, where it's referencing the smat circle, as ANUNUPTAH was calling it, the 4 great realities. This is just to prove and show that Noon wasn't the only one thinking that Noon science had a connection to Nuwapu. Like, there's no way, it doesn't seem as if ANUNUPTAH is responsible for the video being made or the images in it. So I'm not going to assume that he was, and I'm not going to assume that he wasn't, because I don't know. But that proves that, and it also shows that people through time who had Noon had incorrect information. That symbol came from one of York's books from the whole AEO thing. Okay, so that's where the symbolism came from. So let's keep watching.
All people, all places, and all things. This is a Supreme Being. Listen to reasoning. Almighty nature exists in 2 opposite forces. The first force is mind, or Nubii. The second force is death, which is Repoo. Listen to reason. What is the nature of nature? The nature of nature are the wars and cycles of almighty nature. Birth, growth, maturity, decline, death, gestation, birth, maturity, decline, death, around and around and around. Listen to reason. What is the highest force of nature within almighty nature? The highest force of nature is 9 ether, which is all of the creative chemicals and electromagnetic powers in creation. 9 ether exists in the top half of the circle of space, matter, and time. 9 ether is the highest force of reasoning, known in ancient Greek philosophy as nous. 9 ether is the highest force of creativity, life, its extreme. Listen to reason. The opposite side of the circle is a state of scientific death, known as Repoo. Repoo is 6 ether. 6 ether is 9 ether in death, meaning that all of the creative chemicals and ethers and electromagnetic forces that existed in 9 ether have achieved a state of scientific death. So we call Repoo, Almighty Repoo, the state of scientific death on the lower half of the circle of space, matter, and time, and we call Nubii the state of life, the upper half of the circle of space, matter, and time. Question: where are we existing right now on the circle of space?
I'm just letting the rest of the video play out so you can hear that this is not Afroo in this audio. That's all. That's the only reason why I'm letting this play out. So let's keep listening.
Space, matter, and time. Right now, all of nature exists at rock bottom in the circle. This point is known as 3 ether, meaning all of the creative gases and ethers of nature are in a state of absolute scientific death. This is a time of the rulership of the spiritual beings of death, also known as ghost. Ghost is what is called God, and is the spiritual religious ruler of this time, and is symbolized by the Egyptian deity Osiris, who is the god of the underworld.
See here, it says in memory of Nicola Nuta Nupu Noon 9. I don't know if that was his full name, but just to add in, Afroo did write in the nature books to use Nupu as your surname, so Nupu would be the last name, or whatever the case may be. You understand? So like I said, these are just small little signs, because everybody had their own little issues with names and things like that. It all wasn't just Tarnoon like Charles is trying to make it seem. So that would be something, if he was representing Afroo would have checked that these are the things that Charles is not looking at. He's just so worried about another man and his history while he's lying about his own. So let's finish up listening to the recording. The point here is that this proves, this video itself was posted November 1st, 2009. This proves that Charles is absolutely incorrect, and that people just sit there and let this man say whatever the case may be. Besides the ones who spoke up, I'm gonna give y'all full respect and full credit on that. Y'all already know that. That's how I do. I'm not gonna take no credit for nothing. But Charles is sitting here making stuff up. That's the point here, because he's a narcissist, and he's gonna feed off of anything that we post. So the thing where Reason and Nubii came underneath his video stating these things, he know we're gonna be there to grab it, because he needs something to run off of. And that's just what it was. When Charles was making tons of videos about us when we wasn't even paying him no mind, and he eventually drifted off and stopped doing it. Then he brought us back up again. So it's just like, okay, at this point, we gotta nip all of this in the bud. This is the reason why all these videos is coming out, to expose this spirit being. Remember, spirit beings go into the bodies of human beings. So the human being is just the home base for the spirit. So the spirit has to use the human body as the scapegoat when it's the spirit within, because the spirits know that a lot of people don't know that spirit beings exist. So this is just an exposure of the spirit being.